is RamView.
Well, let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Rosian, and this is RamView, the April 30th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. It's KistlerLawFirm.com, one word, Kistler Law. They've been fighting for you since '92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right. Funny stuff, right? It's almost like the KBM goes back into we got nothing to talk about a couple days after the draft, because I saw 3 different links this day, well, yesterday too, that said, headline, Rams are going to use more 12 personnel. Well, did you see last year? The Rams used more 12 personnel last year. Headline, Rams like this trait in defensive linemen because they all transferred out and went from smaller schools to bigger schools. Hello, it's 2025. Everybody transfers, hardly the scoop of the century. And then this is almost becoming a perennial thing now. We had the Brock Bowers thing last year. Rams tried to trade up for Tet McMillan. Draft night, I understood it. Friday morning after round 1, I understood it. Coming out today, it's kind of like, what's the scoop here? There was this, I think his name was Steve Harvey or Randy Harvey. His last name was Harvey. There was a writer out here that worked for the Herald Examiner for 1,000 years. His name was Alan Malamud. He did notes on the scorecard. And when the Herald Examiner folded, he ended up going to the LA Times, and I think he did page 2 there. And when he unfortunately passed away, he was the most must-read sports writer, not for scoop, but just for entertainment and loving sports. Alan Malamud was. No one's replicated him. He was the best. I've tried to replicate it with FanView. Doesn't come even close. But he was that good. You went out of the house like you did for a lot of things, but you went out of the house to get the newspaper because Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, you got a column by Alan Malamud, right? And so these are the things that moved you. And when I'm looking at these 3 things here, Rams using more 12 personnel, Rams like this trait, Rams, we're going to trade it for Tet McMillan. What I'm looking at, this guy named Harvey, I think it was Steve. I don't want to say Steve Harvey because that's the comedian. Randy Harvey. He replaced Malamud. And every time he said something, it was almost like saying in the 1980s, Lakers are good. Oh, scoop of the century, right? It's like saying Yankees are good, right? Larry Bird's white. It's like you've given me some scoop here, and I'm just stunned at some of the media because there's so much more to talk about. Give me something, a little quid pro quo, Clarice. So looking at the Rams draft picks, one more time, Terrence Ferguson, Oregon, 46th overall, Josiah Stewart, Michigan, edge, 90th overall. The trade up was a big deal for Jarquez Hunter, Auburn, 117 overall. Trade up to get Ty Hamilton at 148, Ohio State, 148 overall, 172 overall, Chris Paul Jr., Ole Miss. This is the one that I think has got most people most excited. It's in that 5th slot, that 5th round slot, kind of where we took Puka Nacua. And so people are very excited about Chris Paul. And yes, do you think the jokes about the basketball player Chris Paul are starting to wear just a tiny bit thin, just a little bit maybe? I don't mind it. I'm not going to complain. But yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. The Rams did get Puka Nacua at 177 overall in the 5th round. So 172 for a linebacker that everyone's talking about. I'm game. I think it's all good. And then, of course, 242, 7th round, Kanata Mumpfield. The Rams drafted Ben Skoranek at 7th round, I think 249, 251, and they got clicks out of Ben Skoranek. And so excited about the whole draft class. Question was, who plays? Who could get significant snaps? Who can get rotational snaps? We think that in terms of Ty Hamilton. And I think, honestly, these first six guys, Ferguson, Stewart, Jarquez Hunter, Hamilton, and Chris Paul could all get playing time. Ferguson's the young draft pick. You know, the thing I'm curious about Ferguson, is he Gerald Everett 2.0? Gerald Everett, first Rams pick under the McSnead era in 2017, could catch the ball, and he made plays, and the Rams used him, but they didn't keep him. He didn't block real well. And I think the one knock that we're hearing on Ferguson is that maybe he's not a great blocker. I don't know. I've heard both stories, actually. But he's a playmaker, so cool. He should get playing time. Josiah Stewart fills the role there that Michael Hoyt had. Jarquez Hunter, Kyron Williams can go down, and so depth there. I could see him getting playing time. I'm a little sorry for Ronnie Rivers. Ty Hamilton, the Rams moved off of Bobby Brown. He's going to be in the rotation there unless he just completely fizzles. And Chris Paul, because he's actually a drafted player that's in the linebacker room, so he should be treated like a first-round pick. Those guys should all get playing time. Mumpfield's a little different. I don't see him getting snaps because if he plays, it means either Devontae Adams is washed or he and Puka Nacua are hurt, and Atwell and Whittington just need help. So I think if we see Mumpfield getting any significant snaps this year, that's going to be a bummer about the season. But those other 6 guys, I could see them getting playing time and getting snaps. Hey, guys, thanks for joining. Willie Bowen, LA Rams get a B+ in this draft. Willie, is that your B+, or is that somebody else's B+? Because I got a feeling that if they had drafted a fullback, you'd have given them an A+. Let's see. Bill, Stafford deal, 2 years, $80 million. Good deal for the Rams. Man, Bill, you reached in to my soul and you pulled out my next conversation piece, man. Great job. And nice work, Bill. We'll talk about that here in a second. Micah Gutierrez, the Stafford deal gives us some room to sign a certain cornerback or absorb some of that contract. Absolutely. John Doe 711, excited to see the Ramsey back. Hope it happens. John Doe, thank you for joining us. I don't think I've interacted with you before, but thank you for being here. Hope you can like, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Welcome to the forum. Exactly, Joe, my B+, Willie Bowen. All right. Micah Gutierrez, lots of interesting names on the UDFA list. Dolak, Lampton have a good shot at making the final roster. It's the nuanced Ram fan, right? And I would lump a lot of you guys into that group that don't just look at these guys as camp bodies. The Rams have made significant hits over the years with their UDFA classes, and they brought in 17 of them. So, yeah, really, I have no doubt. I am right there with you that keep your eyes on all these guys. A couple of them could get put in the street before we get to June, right after OTAs. We saw that last year. We've seen that in previous years, and then they bring in other guys. Couple things that are of interest here. Rams assigned 17 undrafted free agents. We know they didn't draft a cornerback, but they didn't even sign a UDFA at corner this offseason. That's pretty interesting. They also, the other one that was pretty interesting about that, there's no 4th quarterback yet. Usually you got to get that other quarterback in there because otherwise Stetson Bennett's going to be playing, 3 quarters for 3 weeks, right? Rams have 3 preseason games. I don't even know if you play Jim. You treat Jimmy G like he's a starter. He maybe plays a series at most in these games. So I got to believe there's a 4th arm that's going to come in, a Dresser Wynn type that comes in, Luis Perez type that comes in for the preseason. Also, where's the other kicker? Usually there's another kicker that's brought in, and that's something to keep an eye on in terms of they bring one of those guys in, someone at the bottom of the UDFA class is going to get put in the street. So just something to keep an eye on. I'm going to talk about cap space, but I saw a couple questions rolled in. John Doe 711. Rich Eisen has the Rams at 4 in his updated power rankings above KC. Makes sense. I didn't see it, John, but it does make sense because I think people are starting to get a grip here on where the Rams are at. And I'm going to share something as we look at the roster here that I haven't shared for a while that is really fascinating the Rams window is open for the Super Bowl. I think we knew that. I felt that at the end of 2023, right? I felt it at the end of 2023. I think we all shared it here, that we felt in 2024 that they could make it to an NFC title game, and they should have, right? We know. Bo Limmer keeps right, keeps his eyes on Jalen Carter and doesn't look left. It's a whole different scenario, right? We get the Taxkins at home, and then we get a Chief team that I really think with our pass rush that postseason, 16 sacks in 2 games, we would have basically probably retired Patrick Mahomes by the end of the first half. He wouldn't have come out for any more. But that's just me, right? That's just me. So this window is absolutely open. The Rams have money, and I think everyone else is going to see it. They've got a full complement of draft picks next year plus. So pretty they got something going on. Let's see. Mikey Gutierrez, Rams not signing a quarterback tells me they have their eyes on the 26 class. I fully agree, but, there is that fourth guy you got to bring in because Jimmy G is got a glass jaw, so to speak. You got to keep him healthy. And so we know Stafford's not going to play. So there's going to be some camp arm they bring in. So real quick here, looking at the cap space, counting after they signed the draft class, because this draft class is going to be pretty cheap. There's not a first-round pick, and there's only 6 players. So the draft class will come in pretty cheap, and when it's done, the Rams are going to have roughly 25 rocks to spend this season. That doesn't mean they have to spend it, but that gives them flex money for, a potential Jalen Ramsey deal. And I've given you guys my thoughts on Jalen Ramsey, and maybe we could talk about that at the back half of the show. The Stafford deal, which the news broke this past week, 2 years, $80 million, 40 rocks guaranteed, and it fluctuates depending on which site you look at. It says, this is what I read, $26 million raise from his prior contract with $17 million in the first year, plus multiple option bonuses in both 25 and 26. And Stafford's cap number decreased, so gave the Rams more flexibility. Think about this. If he signed 2 years for 80 or for 2 years for 84, I've seen both. This guy's coming in at less than 50 rocks. He's coming in at less than 50 rocks a year. He's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and you're getting him for less than 50. And the 49ers are in negotiations right now to pay Brock Purdy anywhere from 48 to 55 million. I heard 51 over the weekend. Rams are in a great place. You could tell Stafford wants to win. He doesn't have I don't think he's Myles Garrett, right? I think he really wants to win. And I also think Stafford's contract speaks to this Rams window is open for 2 years, right? Injuries aside, injuries could derail everything. But I've been hearing a lot of media, not just Ram media, but a lot of KBM media saying, the Rams are all in for 2025. I said, no, when you look at their contracts, Avila comes due in 26 after the 26 season. Dotson comes due again after the 26 season. After the 26 season, you're dealing with Byron Young. You're dealing with Kobe Turner. You're dealing with some of these guys. That's after the 26 season. That's when all those contracts come due. So this is a 2-year window. As long as Stafford is upright and flinging the ball, this is a 2-year window. And of course we want the Super Bowl yesterday, but the whole idea that all the chips are just pushed in for just 2025, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all. I think this is an extended window. And even if, they make that big deal and, whoever the quarterback's going to be, they can make that deal and let that quarterback sit on the bench for a year behind Stafford, right? I think they're in great shape. So I'm Joe Terosian, a sports writer for 21 years. I'm still contributing to Mid-Valley Sports. I was one of the guys that founded it with my buddies, but I left and they're running the show, Tim Peterson and Dwayne Barker. They cover the Chargers, and I get to cover the Rams thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. Please, if you have an auto need, you check them out in terms of finance and injury and such. Check them out. And so I'm very appreciative there. I also write books. My books are on Amazon. I've written 3 football novels. My latest one came out in September. It was called Game Day in the RamCave. You can check that out there. It's a fictional NFC title game between the Rams and Packers. And please check it out if you're interested. Help support us. Keep us on the air. Keeps me my day job as I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. You can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, and of course, Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And also from the RamCave is on Spotify. Please check us out there. Our footprint on Spotify is microscopic. We had an issue. I had the first podcast there was called RamView, and we picked up some traction there, not a whole lot. But then, one of those Spotify things, I got blocked out, changed the password. They wouldn't let me in, so I had to reboot. And it wasn't a big deal to reboot because I didn't have a big audience. But now I've got almost zero audience on Spotify. So we're just trying to figure out how to make this whole thing work in the algorithm. But it's called From the RamCave. And we appreciate you guys for clicking on, hitting like and subscribe. You are noticing I am wearing a hat today because I have to get my hair cut. I'm doing my Oscar Gamble right now. My hair is just poofing out everywhere. And so we're going to look at this Rams roster. And I got a question for you as we look at the Rams roster. Let me say hi to some folks here. Steve Ramirez, but Ison has the Redskins too. Can't agree with that. Well, I want them to be called the Redskins. I'm calling them the Taxskins until then. I think Taxskins is perfect for Washington, D.C. and what they do to us. But they're playing for keeps, man. They drafted not Josh Simmons. They drafted Connerly. Did they draft Connerly and pairing him with Laramie Tunsil at tackle? And that was a good move. They brought in Deebo Samuel. I don't know. I like what the Taxskins are doing. I hope they become the Redskins again. So I don't, they could be my number 2 team again in the NFC. But they got a lot of talent there. Are they 2 overall? Probably not. Probably not. You are right, Steve. Let's see. Manny Correa. Let's go Rasul Douglas. Do you really want Rasul? Another 30-plus-year-old corner in the room? We've already got a plethora of 30-plus-year-old corners, and then we're going to bring in Jalen Ramsey possibly. And if you remember Rasul Douglas's market value before the draft, now it's plummeted now, but it was 11 rocks. So I don't know if you get a Trey White deal with Rasul Douglas, and those guys can go south pretty fast. Bill, Rams have 11 draft picks next year, and they have two picks in the 1st, 5th, 6th, and 7th round. Yeah, tons of picks. I think that's calculating to the projected compensatory picks as well, Bill. Do you know that for sure? I think that might be projecting them too. So again, Rams are in really good shape. So question before I do this here, how many first-round draft picks are on the current Rams roster? I asked this about a year ago. Does anyone know how many first-round draft picks are currently on the Rams roster? I'm going to give you a heads up. One's in the quarterback room, and he's surrounded by Jimmy Garoppolo, who was a 2nd-round pick, and Stetson Bennett, who was a 4th-round pick. The running back room, Kyron Williams was a 5th-rounder, Blake Corum, 3rd-rounder, Cody Schrader, Royce Freeman, Ronnie Rivers, and Jordan Waters out of North Carolina State, who was just signed, are all undrafted free agents. Jarquez Hunter was a 4th-round pick. Wide receiver room, Puka Nacua was a 5th. Devontae Adams, believe it or not, was a 2nd-rounder. Jordan Whittington was 6th. Tutu Atwell 2nd. Drake Stoops was UDFA. Mario Williams, True Edwards, and Brendan Presley and Xavier Smith, all undrafted free agents. Kanata Mumpfield, 7th-round pick. Quintus Cephas from the Lions was a 5th-round pick many, many years ago. In the tight end room, Davis Allen was a 5th-round pick. Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, they were 4th-round picks. Terrence Ferguson was a 2nd-round pick. Mark Redmond, Anthony Torres are 2 undrafted free agents. At center, Bo Limmer and Dylan McMahon were both 6th-round picks. Coleman Shelton was an undrafted free agent. At guard, Kevin Dotson was a 4th-round pick, came over from Pittsburgh. Steve Avila was a 2nd-round pick. KT Levinston was a 7th-round pick. Justin Diedick, Will Lampkin, Wyatt Boyle, Bowles, and Ben Dooley, all them guards were undrafted free agents. In the tackle room, Alaric Jackson was an undrafted free agent. Rob Havenstein was a 2nd-round pick. Warren McClendon was a 5th-round pick. AJ Akuri was a 7th-round pick, and Trey Wettig was an undrafted free agent. Not too many number 1s there, huh? Defensive interior, Braden Fisk, second-round pick. Poona Ford, undrafted. Tyler Davis, sixth-round pick. Kobe Turner, third round. DeJuan Johnson, seventh round. Corey Durden, David Olajege, Dejon Terry, Bill Norton, undrafted free agents. Laurel Murchison, Ty Hamilton were fifth rounders. Where's that first-round pick? Akilla Weatherspoon in the cornerback room was a third-round pick. Kobe Durant, a fourth-round pick. Darian Kendrick, a sixth-round pick. Josh Wallace, Charles Woods, Darius Williams, Sean Jolly, A.J. Green, Cam Lampkin, all UDFAs. But there was a number one pick in that room. I'm going to keep my mouth shut about him. Linebackers, Nate Landman, Omar Spates, Elias Neal, Tony Fields, Troy Reeder, all UDFAs. Sean Dolick, all DFA. Chris Paul is drafted, fifth round. Safety room, Cameron Curl, seventh round pick. Quentin Lake, sixth round pick. Cam Kitchens, third round pick. Jalen McCullough, Tanner Ingle, Malik Dixon Williams, Nate Valcarcel, undrafted free agents. At the edge, Brennan Jackson, fifth round pick. Byron Young, third round pick. Nick Hampton, fifth round. Kiera Thomas, undrafted. Josiah Stewart, third round. Josh Piercy, Jamel Mohammed, all undrafted free agents. There is a first-round pick in that room, and I think you've got the picture. Josh Carty, sixth-round pick. Ethan Evans, seventh-round pick. Alex Ward, undrafted free agent. So that's the Rams roster, okay? That is the Rams roster. So 3 first-round picks, guys. Matthew Stafford was one, and the Rams didn't draft him. Emmanuel Forbes, first-round pick, and the Rams didn't draft him. Jared Verse is the only number one draft pick of the Rams that's on this roster. So 3 number one picks. And even Rich Eisen has the Rams, the number 4 team on his power board. And teams are talking like this is a Super Bowl contender. This is a contender in the NFC. This is the favorite to win the NFC West. Just a masterclass, right? In roster construction, scouting department, and everything. This is absolutely amazing. All these players I just mentioned and the clicks they're getting out of everything from second rounders to undrafted free agents is absolutely amazing. And I'll make the argument again. Rams didn't even draft a cornerback this year. 6 picks, they didn't draft a corner. 17 UDFA signed, and they didn't even sign a corner. I'm telling you, I believe it in my soul. I believe this back in January. I think they believe they found something in Emmanuel Forbes that the Taxkins didn't see. And they're going to develop him and see it. They picked up his rookie deal. They've got him for 2 years on his rookie deal. He ain't getting $800,000 chump change money as a UDFA. He's getting rookie deal money. And when the Rams signed him off waivers, not as a free agent, they signed him off waivers. They assumed that contract. And I think he was somebody that they thought they can fix and get some clicks out of. That doesn't preclude a Jalen Ramsey deal, but it is, wow, you didn't sign anybody as a UDFA or somebody just to deepen that room a little bit. And they did it. Pretty interesting looking at that Rams roster there. Okay, let's see here. Everyone's saying hi, everybody. There we go. There we go. Let's see. Manny Correa on Rasul Douglas if we don't get Ramsey. Yeah, again, the longer we wait on Rasul Douglas, the more his price comes down, right? And if you can get some clicks out of him, great. But then again, this is a plus 30-year-old corner, right? You don't want to have him play too many snaps or pay him that much money. Much cheaper than Ramsey. Absolutely, Manny. Micah Gutierrez, only first round I can think of is Verse. There you go. John Doe, Verse. Willie Bowen, yes, John. Yeah, isn't that amazing, though? You look at those numbers. Forbes is the first-round pick in our cornerback room. Yeah, he is, Bill. Isn't that amazing? And then when you see the Rams didn't make a move, they didn't make a move for a corner anywhere in the draft or as an undrafted free agent or even in free agency. They brought back Akilla Weatherspoon, who we know is limited, right? You have to limit his snaps. Front half of the season or the back half of the season. You have to limit his snaps. And then you got Darius Williams, who was solid last year. He wasn't the 2021 Darius Williams, but he's in 30s now. You're looking at these guys that's like, how many clicks can you get out of them? As a whole, they're okay. Individually, we don't know. I think the Rams still have high hopes for Darian Kendrick, and I definitely believe they do in Emmanuel Forbes. Obviously, they didn't in THT, and that's why THT got out of Dodge. All right, let's look at this again here. Just a reminder, Rams free agents going into next season. Kyren Williams. With Hunter, if he can pick up pass protection, Kyren Williams might not get the contract you think he's getting with the Rams. Rob Havenstein sounds rejuvenated, free agent next year. Not rejuvenated, but still focused on football. He'd be interesting to see. Quentin Lake, there's the real There's the real one there that you want to keep an eye on. And then Tutu Atwell, 1 year, 10 rocks. Tyler Higbee feels closer and closer to retirement. Alex Ward, this one could be interesting. Alex Ward is our long snapper, and this is his last year of his contract. Remember, I said Jake McQuaid forever. Then they brought in Orzik from APU, Azusa Pacific. Rams have always had consistency there in the last 15 years there in that long snapper room. And so Alex Ward might be more important than we think. Cam Curl, he might be a guy the Rams decide we'll keep Quentin Lake, we'll move off of Curl. Jimmy G will be a free agent. If the Rams make that big move, right, that we think they're going to make, that rookie quarterback could be playing behind Matthew Stafford, and Jimmy G could be looking to go a place else. Kobe Durant, Akilla Witherspoon, Darian Kendrick, Darius Williams, they'll all be free agents. And so, yeah, a lot of stuff to keep an eye on there. But the Rams have some money to spend. Moving to around the NFL, 49ers signed George Kittle, who turns 32 this October, to a 4-year, $76.4 rock extension. 40 of it's guaranteed, 35 at the signing. He's getting $400,000 more than Trey McBride. I think Kittle's a really good tight end. I think he's a great tight end, actually. But you're giving a 4-year contract to a 32-year-old tight end. Would you have done that? Or would you have looked to move him and rebuild, right? Bring in some other talent. I know if you don't keep Kittle, then there's no reason to really worry about Brock Purdy, right? You're not going to give Brock Purdy as much money. But George Kittle, yeah, I like George Kittle. I think he's a great player. I thought he looked old in the Chiefs, what was that, Super Bowl 58? I thought he looked old in Super Bowl 58. I think that's what it was. Rams are 56, Chiefs, Eagles 57, Chiefs, 49ers 58. Yeah, I thought he looked old in Super Bowl 58. Remember that game? And he came back, had a great year last year. And so good for him getting his dough. He stings the Rams, but he's 32. You just extended him. They just extended him. I don't know what to say, why they would do that, but they did. And we're going to look at their roster real quick here in a second. Other news here, Hunter Renfrow, remember third in Renfrow with the Raiders? He signed with the Panthers. He's been battling ulcerative colitis and went through a spell there. So he's with the Panthers. Good shot for him. Bills signed Elijah Moore, the former Jet high pick that played with the Browns, caught 60 passes last year. He signed with the Bills, and so he's going to match up there with Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, former Charger Josh Palmer, and also former Taxkin Curtis Samuel, who contributed, and tight ends Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. That's a good deal for the Bills. That's a really good deal for the Bills. Keon Coleman's the reason they didn't bring back Amari Cooper, and so he's out there someplace waiting to be signed. And then here's an interesting one. The Steelers signed Robert Woods, and we know Woods, he's 33. Still, as Rams fans, Robert Woods is very high in I think because he was such a great football player. But I wonder how he'll interact with George Pickens, right? And it's unfortunate he won't have as much standing because he's more towards the end of his career than the beginning. But I can't see Robert Woods coexisting with the George Pickens, right? I just can't see it, right? And then you got to think about this. The Steelers are banking on this is where I've been getting into it for the last few days with Steeler fan Rob in Missouri. Yeah, I was on his case. Yeah, you got to draft a quarterback. I said Shadur's there. Draft Shadur. Okay, take Jackson Dart. They didn't take anybody, right? You can say they took Will Howard, but come on, help me if we're dreaming about Will Howard. But nobody took those guys, right? Nobody took Shadur. All right, I'm okay with that. That's fine. But that means you're giving all the power to Aaron Rodgers, and he still isn't signed. He still isn't signed. That guy should already be in, right? If he was really bought in on the Steelers. And then even if he does come in, remember, he's plus 40 years old. He is susceptible, right? He doesn't move like he used to or willingly want to move like he used to. And you got a three-headed dragon that are all head cases. You got Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens, right? The worst of them being Pickens, and he's the youngest that has the most upside because we've seen what Metcalf can do, and we know what Rodgers has done in the past. And with this going on with the Steelers, TJ Watt's 31 this year. So you're giving away another year of TJ Watt's career. Let's just say, you're giving away you're not going to the Super Bowl, right? And then you're going to get that great quarterback in next year's draft. But is that great quarterback going to be ready to take you to a Super Bowl when TJ Watt turns 32? Or is he going to need a couple years to develop? So you're asking TJ Watt, who still hasn't won a playoff game or been involved in a playoff game. It's not on him that the Steelers haven't won a playoff game, but he could be 34 years old. Why would he want to stick around for that? I'd almost say, man, just move me and get some pieces for me. I just don't. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Let's see. Former Florida State quarterback signed was with the Jets this past year, just in rehabbing. Jordan Travis announced his retirement, says his leg's not responding. That's pretty tragic, right? He was having that great senior year in 2023, and then everything went south with that injury for him and the Seminoles, and he's announced his retirement. And then finally, I see some questions there. Probably going to take a hit from Steeler fan Rob. I wonder, in the case of Bill Belichick, if Jordan Hudson ever tells Bill, we're not talking about that, right? It was a bad look for Belichick. Real bad look for Belichick. Let's see. Bill, just noticed the Rams have a female in charge of our scouting department. I didn't know that. I'm going to doubt very much if she's out there, timing people. I'm going to say she might be the manager. I know that sounds chauvinistic, but I don't think I have any female followers. Although I live in a house, I got 3 daughters and a wife. I'm going to guess that she manages things, office management or something. I doubt very much. I'm very sus when they bring women on these staffs. It's just DEI. It's just virtue signaling to say, hey, look how hip we are. Was it Katie Sowers? They kept pushing with the 49ers a few years ago, and they had those stupid commercials of her drawing up plays and saying, hey, that's how it's done. It's like, yeah, whatever, dude. Okay, I'm not buying it, right? So maybe she does. Maybe she does stuff, but I would doubt it. But the Rams are like that. They do have a diversity intern program, which is basically everybody but white guys that are Christian or something. It's like nobody else, but everyone else qualifies, and good for her. If she got a gig there, good for her. Michael Negretti, George Skittles, the Rams are going to show the taste of the rainbow. Okay. John Doe, what's her name? Okay. Yeah, I'd love to learn more. Maybe I'll do some research on that, Chief, and everything. But, we're all just sus on all that stuff, right? Aren't we? I know I am. But you know what? It's everything in our culture now. My day job's like that. We see that. I only saw that. You saw that more and more in the writing business. You're seeing it more and more in the church business. It's just there, right? It's just there. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, should the Rams take a flyer on J.K. Dobbins? If they didn't spend the draft capital for Jarquez Hunter, I'd say, sure, absolutely, right? I would do it. I would think J.K. Dobbins, someplace in the AFC West would be a good fit, right? Besides the Chargers. Could the Raiders use some more depth behind Genty? Could the Broncos use some more depth there? Could the Chiefs could always use more depth, right? because their line is and stuff. So I like J.K. Dobbins. What is he, 26, 25? And I liked him with the Chargers last year. He got a little banged up, but how do you keep him with Najee Harris and Omari and Hampton? And I just don't see room for him with the Rams, right? I think the Rams want to see Blake Corum take another step. I definitely think they want to see Jarquez Hunter take another step and such. So, no, I don't see that. I don't see that happening. And if it happens, I'm going to be the first one to say, you know what? Me and Michael Negretti called it. There we go. Okay. I wanted to get in the back half here a little bit and look at the NFC West. People are all over the yard. I know people are loving the Cardinals and Seahawks drafts. I thought they had great drafts. I thought they did. I wasn't impressed with the 49ers draft. I think, honestly, the NFC West is the Rams, but they will be challenged. They will be challenged by the Cardinals. They will be. The Cardinals are going to not roll over and die. This is a building team, and I think we're going to see stuff this year if the health holds up. Their biggest liability in Arizona is Kyler Murray, and I think the biggest liability going forward in Seattle will be Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold got enough of the Rams last year. He got enough of them in the 2 games he played against them with the Vikings. Now he's playing 2 games against them with the Seahawks, and there's still some holes on the interior of that Seahawks offensive line. So I think it could go either way. I'm not believing in the 49ers at all. If Kyle Shanahan gets the 49ers to the playoffs, maybe wins the division or gets a playoff berth, gets 10 wins, make him coach of the year, because I don't believe in the 49ers right now. But you look at what Monty Osifort and head coach Jonathan Gannon, Osifort's the GM, they drafted Walter Nolan, DT, Will Johnson. If he's healthy, corner, great pickup. An edge player out of Oregon, Jordan Birch, Cody Simon, linebacker out of Ohio State, Denzel Burke, cornerback, Ohio State. And then they drafted an offensive lineman out of Texas, Haywood Connor and Keaton Crawford. They re-signed Evan Brown, guard, Baron Browning, Josh Sweat on defense, Jacoby Brissett, steadying influence there as a backup quarterback, Dalvin Thompson and Calais Campbell on the defensive end. And, of course, they extended Trey McBride. Here's where it hurts for the Cardinals a little bit. They got Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think they're waiting for him to break out. His breakout game was against the Rams last year in that week 2 game, and it was just kind of so-so. Michael Wilson, the other receiver, is okay. And Zay Jones, right? He's getting some mileage on him. And so they could use some help there. That's why Trey McBride was really important to sign him. Along the offensive line, they still got the other Jonah Williams at right tackle, Paris Johnson at left tackle. Evan Brown's kind of a so-so left guard, but they brought him back. Hajalte Froholt, their center, he's okay. Isaiah Adams at right guard, little sus there. But this is a team, and then James Conner at running back, Trey Benson, and even Amari DiMarcardo. They were pretty good last year. They're getting better, and their defense is getting better. We'll look at their defense maybe on Friday. Frisco, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan. I didn't want to go over their draft. It just looked boring to me. But I'm looking at their offense right now. Brandon Ayuk, who coming back from an injury, and even when he wasn't injured, where was he mentally? Ricky Pearsall, who got shot last year, so kind of a lost year. Jawan Jennings is the one guy that you can count on, and he's torched the Rams. Okay, that's not bad. You just re-signed Kittle, if he can stay healthy at 32. But here's where you get into a problem with the 49ers. Right tackle Colton McKivitz, meh, right? Dominic Puny at right guard was solid. He was really good last year. Jake Brendel at center, he's solid. But then on that left side, Ben Barch, left guard, what? It's a donut hole there. And then I'll even say it at left tackle, Trent Williams is almost as old as Matthew Stafford, I think. And he gets hit on every play. He missed the whole back half of the year. And if that guy goes down, you're going to plug in what? DJ Humphries, right? DJ Humphries is already starting to make the circuit around the NFL since leaving the Cardinals. 49ers are in trouble. I really think they're in trouble, and it warms my heart. Seattle, John Schneider, GM, Mike McDonald, great draft. Gray Zabel, we liked him. Nick Emanawari, safety. Elijah Arroyo, tight end. All these guys were appearing on Ram stuff. Wide receiver Tony Horton, Jalen Milroe. They're very much saying Jalen Milroe will not be Taysom Hill. Okay, I guess so. But this is where I worry about. Well, I don't worry. It warms my heart. You got, again, Sam Darnold, right? His backups, Drew Lock, and then Jalen Milroe. I'm not worried about their quarterback room. Are you worried about their quarterback room? I'm not worried about their quarterback room. And then look at their receivers, and don't hate me for this. Now, Jackson Smith-Njigba was a first-round pick 2 years ago. He's good. He's really good, okay? But you're bringing in Cooper Kupp and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Kupp's 32. And we know, unless Kupp has a great revival and Scanling's on his fourth team in 3 years, that's not a great receiver room. They're going to hope for Jake Bobo. They're going to hope for Tony Horton or Torrey Horton to step up. But that's not a really great thing there. Their tight end, Noah Fant, is solid, but that's not anything scary. Elijah Arroyo would be a guy to consider, considering where he was picked up in the second round. Their running backs are fine, but Kenneth Walker's hurt a lot. And Zach Charbonnet, he's solid. Kenny McIntosh is solid. But here you go. Abraham Lucas, great rookie year, has been fighting injuries ever since. Charles Cross, who was a first-round pick in 22, we saw what Jared Verse did to Charles Cross, right? We saw that. Now, they got Gray Zabel at left guard. He could be – that's a great pick for them. They should have done that. We'll find out if he works out. But then you got Olu Oluwatimi at center. Okay. He's a Coleman Shelton type. And then you got Anthony Bradford at right guard. The interior of that line is still highly suspect. And then you got to figure out, is Abraham Lucas going to revert to his 2022 form after the last two seasons? You know, their defense is going to be better. They picked up some pieces, but the Seahawks, man, right? They re-signed Ernest Jones. They re-signed DeMarcus Lawrence. They got, John Reed. Okay. But there's holes on both these Cardinals and Seahawks. I think the 49ers are a heartbeat away from really tanking, going down. And so the NFC West should belong to the Rams. But we know what's going to happen. And we don't have to be Nostradamus to call it. Rams are going to start the season 1-3, and we're all going to be on pins and needles for the next 13 weeks, right? There we go. Okay, let's look at some questions that rolled in. Let's see here. Dano, snooping around next year's draft class. Hey, do that for me. Because outside of Alar at Penn State, Nussimer, and of course, Arch Manning, my mind's drawing a blank, Dano. Do the show a solid. I'll take it. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana via Cal looks good. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for him. Thank you so much, Dano. Dwayne Barker, Mid-Valley Sports founder. Rams, Nicole Blake, Director Scouting, Strategy, and Analytics. Okay, thank you, Mr. Barker. I will say this, Mr. Barker and I were talking on draft night, and I was complaining, saying Chargers need hands. They need a receiver. They need a receiver. And Mr. Barker was screaming for Omar, and they took Omar, right? They took Omar. So credit to Mr. Barker there. I was going to say maybe the Tigers ate him like Omar, respect, but he got it right. DHP, let's see. Manu Correa, Seahawks did good also. Elijah Arroyo, Miami is going to be fire. Steve Ramirez, love the video of the Seahawk fan streaming the draft when he sees the Rams trade. It's classic. I have not seen that. Can you link me on Twitter or X somewhere there, Steve? I haven't seen it. Let's see. DHP, Joe, I was going to message you in 2 months when training camp opens that Packernick would attempt to come back, but he showed up early and wants to come back now and is a victim along with Sanders. 9 years. 2016, right? Was it 2016, the last year when he was playing behind Blaine Gabbert? 9 years. I mean, it's comical, right? If Homeboy was serious about wanting to play the last few years, he'd already been in the UFL, right? He'd already have been in the UFL. And, he would have been, right? I can remember speaking to coaches players that were nominally talented at high school level. When we were covering in the San Gabriel Valley, from Burbank to Laverne, from Pasadena to Long Beach, down to 605, most of our players were D3 guys at best, handful of D2s, and just a light sprinkle of D1 guys. And they stood out like, sore thumbs. You knew who they were. D3 or JC types. And there were a couple players in our area that were at that D3 JC type level. And I said, hey, what about this dude? Is he going to play? And then he says, no, he's not. And he said he's taking a gap year. I said, oh, really? I said, then where do you think he's going to land after his gap year? Because he wasn't going to play right out of high school and then come back afterwards. And then the coach pretty much told me, he says, Joe, you can't take a year off at this level. And he said, you take a year off, you're not coming back, right? Now that's just high school 1 year. I get it. True enough, the kid became a real estate agent. Good for him. But you're going to take 9 years off from pro football, not 9 years going back to CFL, not 9 years going back to UFL, 9 years and then trying to come back to the NFL. It's like, the Zucker brothers don't even make comedies that funny, right? So yeah, I kind of put Kaepernick in the whole Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson camp right now, right? It's just comedy, right? It's comedic relief. Shador's not there yet, but if Shador can't make it in Cleveland, if he's not the starter by midseason, then he's got some real problems. But I think he's a better quarterback than people think. He's just got to learn how to hem it all in. And it would be fun to see him beat the Steelers twice this year and then have Steeler fan Rob in Missouri ignore me for 6 weeks. The truth is I'm staying at Steeler fan Rob's house in Missouri on my road trip this August, so I got to play nice with him. Let's see. Steve, thank you for sending me that list there. That video. I appreciate it. Okay, we are at April 30th. Tomorrow is May 1st, so we're 2 weeks away from the schedule release. Of course, Rams get their division opponents at home. Rams go to the Saints, who have quarterback problems. They go to the Buccaneers, who have, the GM there, I think the Buccaneers, that's a dark horse team in the NFL. And I think Baker Mayfield is just good for him, right? Good for him, and he should give a tithe to Sean McVay's children's college fund because McVay really brought that guy back. I like the Lions draft. Lions get the Lions at home. Rams get the Texans at home. Texans I'm a little sus on their offensive line. And then the Colts, who's going to be their quarterback, right? Who's going to be their quarterback? The away games, standard division opponents. Panthers, I like that one. Falcons, man, Rams have every motivation in the world to see the Falcons just stink on ice this year. And they need that win in Georgia. And then you got the Eagles and Philly. It's a question of when that game's scheduled. And then the Jaguars, who they should know Liam Cohen. They should be familiar with James Gladstone. I don't think the Jaguars are going to beat the Rams, so that's not a bad deal. And then you got the Titans in Tennessee. A lot of people are getting dark horse thoughts about the Titans. I'm not necessarily, but we'll see. And then the Ravens, who, you got to respect the Ravens. Eagles and Ravens are the games that kind of concern me, especially. Are they November, December? I got to believe January will be Seahawks, 49ers, or Cardinals, right? We know that, the January games. So let's see. Okay, let's see. I knew I provoked Steeler fan Rob. Nothing but love for you, Steeler fan Rob. No one will beat the Steelers twice, not even the Ratbirds. Okay, book it. There we go. The closer we get to August, Steeler fan Rob, I'm going to be talking so nice about the Steelers because when I get to your place, I want to go to a nice restaurant. I want you to take me to Branson for a really good meal. I don't want to get stuck going to Bronze. So I will play nice. Hey, we're coming up to the 50-minute mark here, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Born on this date in 1986, Jason Smith, Rams tackle, drafted first round, second overall in 2009. So Jason Smith turns 39 today. I hope Jason Smith's living a blessed life, and I hope he's got no lingering issues from his time in the NFL. Now, we won't be on the air tomorrow, But were some amazing things that happened on May 1st, 1984. On May 1st, 1984, the Rams traded the 21st overall pick and number 134 overall to the Kansas City Chiefs for cornerback Gary Green. He was a frontline corner. Chiefs, from the time of Emmett Thomas all the way through to the times of when Marty Schottenheimer there, always had great corners. Emmett Thomas to Dale Carter, Albert Lewis, they always had great corners. Gary Green was one of them. And so Rams made that thing. He excelled in 84 and 85. That was a smart trade by the Rams, but he had a bulging disc in his neck in 86, and he didn't play that year, and he ended up retiring. But tomorrow is the 41st anniversary of the Rams drafting or trading for Gary Green. 1990, Rams sent a third-round pick to the Lions for first-round bust Chuck Long. Yeah, Long did nothing. That's unbelievable, right? That is just unbelievable. Now, think about this when they did that, though. The Rams had the 58th overall pick in the 1990 draft. Remember how bad the Rams were, after the Dickerson trade and all the draft picks, okay? So they send that third-round pick to the Lions for Chuck Long, and Chuck Long washes out. He replaces Mark Herman as the backup, and, he does nothing. So that 58th pick, the Lions take a receiver named Reggie Barrett out of UTEP. He does nothing. He plays 10 games in the NFL because that's the Lions, right? The number 59 pick in the 1990 draft, Aeneas Williams. The number 63 pick in the 1990 draft, linebacker Mo Lewis. Number 68 pick in the 1990 draft, Jake Reed, wide receiver. Number 70 overall pick in the 1990 draft, Pro Bowl tackle, Dallas Cowboys tackle, Eric Williams. But it was cool. We got Chuck Long, and the road was paved to go to St. Louis, was getting paved a little more to go to St. Louis. Yeah, I always love sharing that story. All right, tomorrow, since we're not on the air, mention Roger Brown. I even think Steeler fan Rob would remember Roger Brown. I'm positive Steve Ramirez would remember Roger Brown. The only thing I know about Roger Brown was I saw it in Paper Lion. He was traded to the Rams. That's all I know. But he was out of Maryland Eastern Shore, and he's the guy the Rams brought in from the Detroit Lions when Rosie Greer went down after the 66 season, before the 1967 season. He became the first replacement on the Fearsome Foursome. For him, the Rams sent a first-round pick that turned out to be number 24 overall. That was Earl McCullough, USC receiver, sprinter. And the number 74 pick, which turned into Hall of Fame tight end Charlie Sanders. And the number 47th overall pick in 69 that became Jim Yarbrough. And so Yarbrough played a few seasons in the NFL, and he was pretty good. Roger Brown played 3 seasons for the Rams, made the Pro Bowl in 67, started in 68. He picked up 5 sacks coming off the bench in 14 games in 1969, the year the Rams started 11-0, and then he retired, and I think he became a pretty successful businessman. He passed away in 2021. I read this when I was doing some scrounging on him, on Roger Brown, because he was a beast. He was a huge dude for that time. He was known, and this is a lost thing in the NFL. Everyone remembers the Eagles body bag game, but apparently he had a game against the Packers in 1962 while playing for the Lions, where he sacked Bart Starr 7 times and even racked up a safety, and they called his performance the Thanksgiving Day Massacre. I thought that was pretty cool about Roger Brown. I just wanted to remember, because some of these guys, they come and they go, and they should be remembered. All right. We hit the 50-minute mark. Guys, I really appreciate you being here with me. Please check out my books on Amazon. Actually, hold off a little bit, maybe. I'm doing some revamps on some of these books. My Tangent Dreams is coming up to its 10th year anniversary. We're working on the audio book, and so we'll get that out soon. But my other books are available there. Check out Game Day in the RamCave. There you go. I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for the scoops and the work. Steeler fan Rob, Steve Ramirez, DHP, Manny Correa, Mr. Barker, Dano, John Doe. Thank you for joining us. Mike Negretti, Bill, Willie Bowen. all you guys. I do really appreciate you guys coming out. Micah Gutierrez, all you guys. Thank you so much for hanging with me. I've just about got some details worked out. I am probably going to be, my column for years with Mid-Valley Sports was called FanView. I'm probably going to do a video version of it where it won't be live stream. Maybe I might live stream it on Facebook, download it, upload it here. It'll be like a 15-minute sports show that I do on off days, talking about general sports, still talk about the Rams and stuff. But that is coming probably as soon as next week. I've been a little hesitant right now because I got surgery coming at me very, very soon. And then I can get my hair cut, get rid of my Oscar Gamble look, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys. God bless. Take care. I also want to do VanView because I want to talk about the Mets. Go Mets. Okay, guys. God bless. Take care. Check us out on Spotify from the RamCave. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe again. All right. God bless. Take care.